Hey everyone, welcome back to 996 The Howl. It is time for me to undergo the Herculean task of choosing and predicting who the Coyotes will draft at 6th overall. Not going to even touch 12th overall. I think this draft, I think a lot of people are all across the board of the order of where players are going to go. I think the top three is solidified. That's obvious to me, but you never know. So the top three, in my opinion, Bedard, Fantilli, and Carlson will go 1, 2, 3. Then we get to 4 and 5 with San Jose and Montreal, and then it's the Coyotes at number 6. San Jose, they should either go for Mitchkov or Will Smith. To me, Will Smith is not on this board as much as I would love to. It should be that Will Smith is gone by the time the Coyotes reach the podium. If the Coyotes walk out of Nashville with Will Smith, that's a home run, slam dunk. That's the guy who I've been eyeing since probably December. After finding out that the Coyotes are going to fail at getting Bedard, there was times where I thought, okay, maybe we'll finish second or third. But as Columbus and Anaheim really just nosedive down the standings, to me it was like, okay, Will Smith, a centerman out of the United States Development League, big centerman. He played really well at the under 18 championships. This is a Coyotes guy. And then as the season went on, Coyotes just played themselves out of drafting him. If they walk out, like I said, if they get Will Smith, this whole video is worthless, but it's a fantastic win for the Coyotes and a successful season and draft. But, he'll probably be drafted 4 or 5. He should be. And then we get to Mitchkov, the big elephant in the room, a Russian playing in Russia, playing in the KHL. Not a lot of video on this guy, but the Coyotes do have scouts in Russia. The past 2 years, they drafted Fedotov. They drafted Duda. Duda even broke his KHL contract a couple weeks ago to go play in the state of Maine in North America for the NCAA. So there are chances that a Russian player could break their Russian contract, but the big context around Mitchkov, yes, he is pretty much the second most skilled player in this draft after Bedard. His Russian contract is another 3 years. So any team drafting him will get him when he's 21. They have to wait 3 years for him to come to North America, if he even wants to come to North America. And then there's all this speculation about, his off-ice behavior, his immaturity, his defensive play. So there's a lot of reasons, maybe true, maybe false, maybe just writers trying to get clicks through their website as to why San Jose or Montreal may not draft Mitchkov, and it might fall to the Coyotes. But let's look at the type of player he is, leave it all on the ice. We won't go into speculation about contract this and behavioral issues that to me, it might even be a positive that the Coyotes wait 3 years. That, to me, shows that they can develop their current prospects, which is a long list of players. Cooley, Geeky, Gunther, Lamoureux, Zuber, probably others that I've missed, and their current players like Keller, Michelli, and Kraus. They could wait, and then in 3 years, you get Mitchkov, who's supposedly this really elite offensive player, the likes that we rarely see across the NHL. And then you have him from years 21, his age of 21, to 24 on an entry level contract. So cheap money in probably his best years of hockey. You get him for a league minimum because he has to wait 3 years to come over and sign his ELC with the Coyotes. So that, right when the Coyotes are trying to compete for a deep run in the playoffs, you inject a generational talent like Mitchkov. It makes sense to me, and that's kind of a plus that the Coyotes have to wait. And we're used to waiting. Cooley, we're waiting 2 years to get Cooley. What's another 1 year extra to wait for Mitchkov? So 5'10", 148 pounds, not a big guy, a skilled, elite, playmaking, scoring threat, winger. He's got immense creativity and playmaking skill. Scouts are saying he's got like a bird's eye view built into his head when playing hockey. He could see plays that you could only really make if you were sitting in the back row nosebleeds of the arena. incredible puck handling skills. He attacks the center of the ice. He's not a perimeter player. Doesn't play along the boards or peripheral. He attacks the center of the crease and the ice in the offensive zone. He's got a really, really high offensive IQ. Everyone says if it wasn't for Bedard, this guy would be the most skilled player at the draft. Some of the negatives to him, he's got underwhelming speed. He doesn't beat you with top line speed and acceleration. He beats you with creativity and playmaking skills. And his defensive awareness and effort, a lot of scouts are saying, leaves a lot to be desired. But I always say you can teach defense, you cannot teach scoring and offensive skill and offensive IQ. It's so easy to teach defense. Not easy, but it's manageable and doable, and a lot of coaches are able to do that. You know, we see Tortorella do it. Gets all his players to block shots and play good defense first. Not saying that I want the Coyotes to go that direction, but you know, under the right structure and management, you could teach Mitchkov defense. And if not, I think his offensive abilities just overshadow and outweigh his defensive game. And if it seriously is a problem, you can put him with other players on his forward line that are committed to defense and back checking, and play him with defenders who like to defend, so you don't always have to rely on one player to do everything. I think his offensive skill is outmatched, and it's at a point where you kind of just take a blind eye to his negatives and you just draft this guy. So I would like the Coyotes to draft him, but you know, there's a risk, like I mentioned before. If the Coyotes want to go sort of a safe play here, I think they would go for Benson, who, reading up on him, I kind of like more and more. I have to stop reading about him because now I'm tending to be like, I kind of want Zach Benson to be chosen. But then I look at these draft rankings and mock drafts, and some people have Benson going like 10th or 12th. It's like, he's all over the place. Some have him in the top 7. A lot of people have him, the Coyotes picking him. So we'll see where he goes. He's 5'10", about 160 pounds, plays in the WHL for the Winnipeg Ice, who just relocated to the state of Washington. Winnipeg Ice, if that sounds familiar, he played on the exact same line as Geekie, another Coyotes top prospect. Geekie centered the line with Benson all season. He got 36 goals, 62 assists, 98 points in 60 games played. If you think, before I move off of Mitchkov, if you think this is underwhelming numbers, that is the most points per game for a player in his draft year in the KHL ever. You know, he beat out guys like Ovechkin and Kaprizov, so he's an elite Russian, even though those are underwhelming numbers just at face value. Going back to Benson, he's an incredible playmaker. He's got really high offensive and defensive IQ. He translates his offensive IQ in the defensive zone, sort of like when you see Mitch Marner on the penalty kill, or we saw 2 seasons ago, Keller played on the PK a lot, using that offensive ability to break up plays, to sort of anticipate where the other team is going to pass to on their power play. So that's what I mean when I say offensive awareness translate to defensive play. He plays like he's over 6 feet. He is not shy to play the body. What else have I got here? Incredible puck handling skills. He's a quick decision maker, and his compete level is really high. Rarely gives up on plays. Goes to the dirty areas. He doesn't hesitate from physical contact. He plays like he's over 6 feet. So this is sort of like a Bill Armstrong type player. Plays like a Bill Armstrong type player, but doesn't have that over 6 feet tall, 200-pound stature that a prototypical Bill Armstrong player has. This is sort of like, a Connor Garland type player with much, much more skill. Sort of like, if Clayton Keller just played the body more and used his body to make plays, sort of like that type of player. But he's got an average skating and average shot. It's not his best skill set. His skill set is work ethic, compete level, and just making players around him better. That's one of the big things scouts have been saying about him, is that his intelligence and tenacity makes players around him better. We saw that with Geekie, who had an incredible step forward from his draft year in the WHL to his draft plus 1 year. and that was due to playing with a guy like Benson. So that's always good. And there's already chemistry between Benson and Geeky, so that's why I call it a safe pick. It's like you already know he plays well with Geeky. They like each other. They're line mates. They're friends. They're gonna go to Washington because the Winnipeg Ice relocated. So they're used to a team relocating. A bit of a dark joke there, but to me, that's sort of a safe pick, but not a bad one. I don't think it's bad to take Benson at 6. I think that's a solid place for him. If he makes players around him better, and he's already got great chemistry with one of your other prospects, and they could play together for another year before Geeky moves up to the American Hockey League or NHL. To me, that's a really good and intelligent choice to make. But if they choose Benson over Michkov and Michkov is available, we could look back and see, that was a big mistake. So you never know. To me, if we walk out of Will Smith, Michkov, or Benson, I'm happy. I'm, glad and the direction the team is going, and I wouldn't be disappointed. If we go this route, these are more safer picks in terms of we already know what these players' floors are going to be. It's just about anticipating and trying to figure out what their ceiling is going to be. Leonard and Dvorsky will be for sure NHL players, but that doesn't mean they're going to be really good and help you win and be that top 6 type players. There's a really 90% chance they'll be a fourth, third line guy, and then maybe a 10% chance it could be in your top 6. We'll start with Leonard, who's 5'11", 181 pounds, so bigger than Benson and Michkov. Plays in the United States Development League. Played on a line with Will Smith. 51 goals, 43 assists, 94 points in 57 games played. That's ridiculous numbers. But he's not like an offensive, skilled, unbelievable offensive player. This guy is like a horse who just manages to score goals because he knows what to do and where to go. He's a great power forward, great physicality. This is probably the most Bill Armstrong type player you'll get here on this board, and maybe in the top 10. His work ethic and compete level is unmatched. He goes to the dirty areas. He backchecks really hard. He's defensively reliable. He commits to defense. He's really big on a team player type player, which means he'll do anything to win the game. If that means he has to play more defensive, he'll do that. If he needs to go in the corners and dig pucks out, he'll do that as well. He's got a great heavy shot. He's got good passing and hand-eye coordination with those passes. The play doesn't die on his stick. He's not one of these big guys who can't make plays. He's a big guy who can make some skilled passes and plays. Sort of like if Krause had better playmaking skills than we already see. Krause is not a playmaker. He is more of a finisher, lays the body. He competes hard and goes into those areas to dig pucks out. That's why he relies on a playmaker like Michelli. So maybe Leonard is a combination of a Michelli type playmaker with the big body of Krause. The only downsides is he has no creativity. He's not a flashy scorer, even though he scores 51 goals in his season. But, they don't ask how you score. They ask how many you scored. And he's not an explosive skater. So, again, not going to beat you with speed. He's going to beat you with the willingness and relentlessness to get a puck and win it for his team. He's committed to Boston College next year in the NCAA. And he's pretty much a really good two-way power forward. To me, it's a bit too early at 6 overall to draft a guy like Leonard, a power forward. He's a very complimentary and supplementary player. For me, at number 6, I kind of want that guy to drive the line, play in a really offensively high-end game. I don't want a safe power forward guy who's on your third line. I kind of need a really good top 6 forward, if anything, a top 3 forward at number 6 overall. If they could grab Leonard at 12th overall, that is a perfect spot. And walking out of here, if they walk out of here with Benson and Leonard, they're laughing all the way to the bank. But still, I really don't know where the management's head's at. I know the Coyotes' defensive pipeline is very shallow, and they got all these forward prospects. But to me, they're just missing one more elite forward for me. If that could be Michkov, If that could be Benson, and then Benson and Geeky could form like a really good second line, and then Cooley could be first line center. You have Hayden third line center. We'll see where other people like Gunther and Keller fit in, and Krause and Michelli. Like, that would be amazing if the Coyotes could walk out of here with two really good top six forwards, and then for the next 3 years just concentrate on drafting defensemen, acquiring defensemen in trades or free agency. To me, if they could walk out of here with two forwards, they never have to look at forward prospects ever again, and they just have a group of forwards. They could be deep, they could be relentless, they could be threatening, and it could overwhelm teams. And then you kind of just have to focus on defense and goalies, which is manageable. You know, there's always defensemen and puck moving defensemen on the trade market and free agency, and you can go that route. But I'll jump ahead to Reinbarger since I'm talking about defensemen. If they want to draft a defenseman, I don't want them to draft a defenseman at 6. To me, you know, like I already mentioned, two forwards at 6 and 12 would be amazing and just really helps the offensive depth of the team. But realistically, you kind of want a high-end forward at 6 and a really good defenseman at 12. There's like 3 defensemen who can go between 10 and 15. There's Reinbacher, Axel Pelika, Sandin Pelika, Wallinder, and Simashev, who's a Russian defenseman. He's been rising up in the past few weeks. So there's defensemen that could be picked at 12. It's not like they have to pick a defenseman at 6 just to get one. There's going to be a lot of defensive options at 12. But if they really like Reinbacher, if they're really interested in him and think he's going to be a great defenseman moving forward, they might pick him at 6 if they really like him. He's 6'2", 187 pounds. He's a huge guy for being only 18 years old. Plays in the Swiss League, 3 goals, 19 assists, 22 points in 46 games played. His defensive game is already NHL level. His defensive maturity is already at a level where you don't need to kind of train him and develop him so closely. His defensive game is really good already, He's got a high compete level, very physical. He clears the crease really well. He's really good at one-on-ones and puck battles along the boards. He's not so great at like an overall defensive awareness of where to be on the ice. He's just really good, you know, attacking a player and getting a puck away from an opposing offender. He's got a great and accurate slap shot, but not the most offensive guy. So you're probably looking at a power play 2 number guy. And he's not an offensive threat. This is just a really solid defenseman who could just end up being a really good stay-at-home defenseman, which is why I wouldn't take him at number 6. It's more suitable to grab a stay-at-home, reliable defenseman at number 12. That makes more sense to me. He makes simple plays. He facilitates his forwards a lot. He likes the forwards to, you know, break out of the zone and hit them with passes and leave it to them to make the skillful play to enter the zone and make plays in the offensive zone. He doesn't want to be that guy. So that's the type of player kind of getting, trying to create a clear picture over here. He's got a great defensive foundation. Like I said, he's reliable, good defensive awareness, high compete level. He's not afraid to throw the body and initiate physical contact along the boards. So that's the type of defenseman you're going to get in Reinbacher, not a really puck-moving, offensive-minded defenseman who the Coyotes need. They don't have that in their pipeline. So hopefully maybe there's other defensemen around 12 that could be that offensive, puck-moving defenseman. And they'll finish with Dvorsky. He is a Slovakian playing in the Swedish league, the second division league. He had 21 points in 10 games played, I believe, in the third division in Sweden. And then in the second division, 14 points in 38 games. He's a great defensive forward, high floor. He's going to be a bona fide 4th line, 3rd line center. He's defensively reliable. He always back checks, first to back check. He takes care of the defensive side of the game first before going to the offensive zone. He likes the details of the game. He's really good at face-offs, right? Great at face-offs, details of the game. He has a 50% face-off percentage. So, you know, a guy who every NHL team will just throw him in their lineup and he'll be defensively reliable. That's what they mean by high floor. He might not be that number one centerman, maybe not even a number two, but he's going to be a solid bottom six centerman, which I don't think is good to pick at number six. But I'm not in I'm not in Bill Armstrong's head. I don't know exactly what their plan is moving forward. I know they have some gaps at the center ice position. If they just want reliable centermen all the way through, and then you have explosive wingers on those centermen's wings, that could be an option. But I really don't think they should grab Dvorsky at 6. People have him between 6 and like 15, so they could grab him at 12 again. The Coyotes are the only team with 2 picks in the first 15 slots, so they can do some damage. They could trade up to get Will Smith, if they go to San Jose and be like, we'll give you 6 and 12 to grab your 4th and grab Will Smith, a guy we really like, a guy we hoped we would draft, but, our team failed and played too well and played ourselves out of a good drafting position to draft this guy who we really like. To me, I trust the scouting department and Bill Armstrong to pick the guy they really like. It's not necessarily taking huge risks. It's like they've been watching these players for so long, and this guy's going to fit into the mold of the team. Off-ice issues, locker room, they all take that into context. That's what they did with Cooley. Last draft, Shane Wright didn't go first overall like everyone thought, and he kept falling and falling, and the Coyotes didn't even hesitate. They're like, we don't want Shane Wright for whatever reason. Cooley's our guy. He's going to fit in with the Coyotes. This is our future plan with him. That could be ignorance, I agree. If they decide to go with Benson for the reasons I said instead of Michkov, due to the uncertainty of Michkov and just the fact they really like Benson and have plans for him and like the fact that he's great line mates with an already top prospect they have, that could bite them in the behind in a few years. But, they have so many good prospects already. Just having 2 picks so high in this draft just really helps the Coyotes move forward and gives the fans something to cheer about, fill the seats, and be like, we're okay moving forward. The on-ice is not a problem. Maybe the organization could fix their off-ice issues. So that's it for me. So, a long video, but at the end of the day, I'd be happy with Will Smith, who should be gone by number 6. Michkov and Benson, I'd be really happy. If they go this route of sort of safer picks of Leonard, Dvorsky, or Reinbacher, a bit disappointing, but still, these are solid players who could facilitate our other prospects we already have, and we kind of don't need to rely on these guys moving forward. We have so many other prospects in the system that it's just about the number of darts you have on the dartboard. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.